channel, Race19. Please like, comment and subscribe. Thanks to all the people who watched the last video. I've got quite a few views now. I couldn't believe it whenever I saw it, to be fair. Look, I was so down at that video. It was just after the game, obviously, against Brighton. There's been a lot of reactions to that game, and there's been a lot of opinions shared online, on YouTube, on X and other platforms. Like, I've seen one, for example, today. I'm not really going to go into that game. I'm just giving my brief thoughts on what Farke said in the press conference, for example, after the game, or not the press, in the press conference and the journals after the game. And then I'll also talk about a couple of things like Perry. I want to make a point on Perry that people have to take on board. And then I want to also maybe look ahead briefly. Obviously comment on the Farke speculation about him possibly going, the rumours, or the 49ers with the people who want them out, or the 49ers with the people who are sticking by him. I'll start with Perry. I seen a tweet up today. Somebody said Perry had the worst save percentage of all 21 goalkeepers that actually played in the Premier League this season to date. A very misleading stat. 18 goals or shots faced and 9 goals conceded. I'm going to make a point here. Point being, 5 of those goals that we conceded were against Arsenal. 3 of the goals that he conceded were against Brighton at the weekend. The Brighton goals at the weekend, he couldn't do anything about any of those goals. No keeper in the world would have been able to. The Arsenal goals, again, I'm not going to go over that match. Nobody's saving those. It was men against boys in that game. The Brighton game, for example, I'm looking at it from a supporter perspective, but I'm also looking at it from the perspective of each of those goals ended up being cut back. That took Perry out of the game. He's not saving those. No keeper is. The first goal, he's had to come out, close the man down. He has to. The ball's cut back and it's a tap in for Welbeck. If you look where our two centre halves are, they're on the line trying to get to the ball. That's because of runners from the midfield and from the wide areas of Brighton. So my blame for the Brighton goals, each of them, actually all 3, lies squarely at the feet of the midfielders not tracking runners, and it's also from the fullbacks getting beat too easy. The third goal, Gio Rutter is handed against Brighton. He's handed the ball on the plate by Bogle, and I'm not digging Bogle out. Bogle is one of our best players this season. To me, he's one of our best attacking players. So the fact is, whenever it's cut back by Rutter, Perry can do nothing. He has to guard that front post. And when it's cut back, obviously if you're guarding the front post, Perry's expecting the midfielders to cover the runners from midfield. And unfortunately for us, that's not been the case. This is why there are different ways we're going to have to play the game. One of the ways is a change of formation. Does 4-3-3 suit the team that we have right now, the players that we have available right now? For example, we currently have this is a stat that concerns me. I was looking at different things today, and this concerns me. We have a 0.9 goals scored per match, right? That means we score on average in 10 games 0.9, so just below 1 goal per match. Where we concede, was it 1.7? I believe it is. But anyway, for this, I look at it. We score 0.7 out of those 0.9 in the first half. We score So that means we only score 0.2 of our goals. That means 2 of our goals this season have come in the second half. 7 of our goals have come in the first half. If you look at that, that's saying to us, so we're scoring 7 goals in the first half. We're scoring 2 goals in the second half. 1 game we didn't score. That's basically what it's saying on the average of 10 games. But we concede on average 1.7 goals a game. We concede 0.7 goals in the first half, which is equal to the 0.7 we score, which is we concede on average 0.7 goals in the first half. And in the second half, we concede on average 1 goal every game in the second half. My question is, are our players actually fit? Are we running out of steam? Or is tactics? My worry is we're not scoring in the second half of games, but we're conceding. We went 2-0 up against West Ham and won the game. Brilliant first half, dire second half. Is it a tactical thing, or is it that we are not fit? Something doesn't add up here. After 10 games, nothing there on those stats. If people are into stats, I'm not really. I prefer the eye test. West Ham, we completely surrendered midfield. Brighton, we were absolutely diabolical throughout the entire game, as we were against Burnley. We're going into Nottinghamforest next, who are physical, more physical, and probably maybe less technical than Brighton, but definitely more physical. If we don't have the players capable of matching them physically, runners, we're going to get. It's going to be the same thing as against Brighton. Throughout this season, Nottingham Forest have played 4-2-3-1 9 times. If they're playing 4-2-3-1, we have to win the midfield battle. My concern is the 3 behind the 1. You're talking, like, realistically, you're talking a 10. Chris Wood, I don't think will be fit. You're probably talking a real midfield battle here. And our midfield has been not great in the last few games. As I said in the last video, six halves of football. And we've played 1 decent half of football in those 3 games. My point is, do we try to match Forest up? Do we go to the 4-2-3-1? And I'm going to give you the positives of that formation. It means Daniel Farke going into this game has to make a decision of who plays. Is it Ethan Ampadu and Stack? Do you play Tanaka? Hopefully not. But the reason why I'm asking that question is because then if Willie is fit, he can play in the 3 part behind the striker. If you have DCL up front, if Dan James is fit, Okafor is fit, and Willie's fit, them 3 have to play behind DCL. Willie can get in and around DCL. DCL can win balls all day long in a 4-3-3. But if the closest men to him are the wide men, we're going to create nothing. Our creation, we had 5 shots in total against Brighton. I think 2 on target. Something like that. It's nowhere near good enough. It's nowhere near the level. Our midfield was overrun. It was completely outfought in every sense. We have to take Brendan Aronson off. He does not. West Ham are not a good team. Going forward, I've said before, they cut us open. That ball from Bowen in, I think it was Fernandez, got the header. Brilliant move. You have to take your hat off sometimes and just say that was a great goal. And it was a great goal. Our defenders against West Ham were immense. But they were completely isolated against Brighton because of our midfield. And I think West Ham just went and beat Newcastle 3-1. It showed, yes, they may not be so really strong in defence, But going forward, they can pose a real threat, especially if their players are on form. And it's no coincidence, actually, in the second half against Leeds, Potts come on for West Ham, as did Fernandes. Both those men started along with Souček in the Newcastle game. So we're looking at it going. We're looking at the next game, the Forest game, away from home. We've got 4 losses already this season away from home. Forest aren't doing great, let's be honest. They're second bottom currently in the league. But let's be honest, we do know under Sean Dyche, defensively they should be quite sound. Last game out, they drew 2-2 Man United. But we have to look at it from our perspective. If we win against Forest, it's a massive statement. Because right now they're in the zone, the relegation zone. They're our direct competitors. It concerns me because if we do not beat Forest, we're in a quagmire of trouble after the international break. We've got Villa, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, in whatever order. I think I got that right, possibly wrong. And the problem that I have is where are we getting our points from? It could be very feasible that come the 14th of December, the next game we play after those 4 games, we could be in the relegation zone. So the question is very simple. Do you stick or twist? And when do you stick or twist with Farke? The people who back Farke will say it doesn't matter if you sack him now, you're going to bring in somebody that's going into these games and you'll probably end up losing them anyway. Possibly true. Then the other side of that is you could go into these games with a new manager or fresh ideas, different formations, that's able to play and be flexible within the game, not always make a sub on the 70th minute, not always talk after the press conference or during the press conferences after the games, making a whole ream of excuses. For example, I've got a quote here. It's directly after, it was whenever he was talking after the Brighton game, just after it finished. We don't have to overanalyze the game. They were the better side and deserved to win. Overall, if you look at the game, it was quite equal on possession and corners, but they created way more and were more clinical. He is right there. They created a lot more because of our tactics were absolutely shambolic. As I said a lot, what were our tactics? What was our intention? It was absolutely diabolical from start to finish, and he did nothing on the sideline until we made a sub in way into the second half. It was crying out. At 1-0 at half time, that game was crying out for a Dan James play them on the counter because we had nothing. We had lost the midfield ball in the first half. We were getting absolutely pummeled. And this is where it pisses me off about stats. The eye test sometimes is the best test. And to come out and say we don't have to overanalyze the game. You have to analyze that game. You have to. One of the best managers of my lifetime was Marcelo Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa would have analysed every single week and second of that beyond belief to make sure those players don't make the same mistakes again. They understand the tactics before they even walk out in the pitch. They know what they're doing. They know who they're picking up at corners. They know what they're doing in free kicks. Our free kicks were abysmal. To not overanalyze that game, our corners were abysmal too. You've got to be shitting me, Daniel. The more he speaks, the more I get angry. And the reason why I'm getting angry, and I left it a few days because I didn't want to say things I didn't mean or didn't want to. I wanted this to take a few days to breathe and then come out and go again. But I've seen so many other people online on YouTube say about Daniel Farke should be given time because of X, Y, and Z. Listen, Daniel Farke got the 90-point trophy, and he got us up the second season. We had the best squad in the league the first season he was there. He had a shit time at the beginning of that season, but he assembled the best squad in the league and failed. Doesn't matter. Next season, he gets us up 100 points. That's last season. We're now in a completely different competition. The Premier League is a different beast to the EFL. Simple as that. As I said before, in the EFL we were the best team. In the Premier League we're one of the worst teams. It's as simple as that. So you need to be on it every second of every game. You need to be flexible. You need to be able to change within the game. The biggest negative about Daniel Farke, not his talking or anything like that, it's his in-game management, which he is absolutely, he is so below the par of Premier League. I don't want to go into that in detail. It's beyond the pale. But at some point, something has to give. I don't understand. What are you defending whenever Daniel Farke is coming out with nonsense like we don't have to overanalyze the game? Seriously? If that was... I'm not defending Jesse Marsh because he was abysmal. But if that was Jesse Marsh, you'd be ripping him to shreds. But because it's Daniel Farke, people are backing him. We're 10 games in. We're going to be 11 games in come this weekend. If we lose this game, even if we don't win it and we draw, but if we lose this game, we are in a world of hurt. A world of hurt. And I believe if Daniel Farke loses this game, he's sacked. During that international break, he's sacked. Who's going to come in? That remains to be seen. But the 49ers best put their hand in the pocket now and pay for a really good manager, a really good set backroom staff, because that's the difference between staying in this league and getting relegated. We'll touch on the transfer window later. We did not start well. They scored out of this. Brighton wants to invite you to open the block, and if you're 1-0 down, it's difficult. I quite liked how we handled it. We were way better. Free kicks and corners. Delivery not great though. Started second half well. What? I sometimes think the man is watching a completely different game till at least half the fan base. I said in the last game, I know people who go to a lot of games, and they're all on the same page. There's a lot of the crowd that is not happy. They're not happy. We are so predictable. If we're picking up on things like 70th minute, making a sub, that type of thing, just for example, what are the Premier League managers, their scouts and their analysts and stuff in the background, what are they picking up? Because that's what they're paid to do. They're picking up a hell of a lot more than me and you. And I'm not a manager. I'm just a dickhead on the internet giving an opinion. Tried to get a foot back in the door with Nemecha and Stack. Good reaction in the last moments, but poor start was crucial, and cheap goals in the second half. Let's read that again. So tried to get a foot in the door with Nemecha and Stack. We're 3-0 down, Daniel. I don't get him. Reaction good in the last moments. One of the best things I saw in that game, and it was Stack's footwork and banging it at the top corner, and the keeper made a save. It was quite an easy enough save, but he had to make the save. I went out for a corner. Again, it was an abysmal corner. Daniel, can I ask you a question? If you wanted to get back into this at 1-0 down, why did every free kick we had, why was it taken short and played back to the centre backs? Why not launch it into the box? Why not use the height and the power that we have on the team? That you were so proud of at the beginning of the season, that we had one of the biggest teams, the most physical teams in the league, yet you're passing it around the back, or passing it back to Perry from a halfway line. free kick. Why not just launch it into the box? It makes no sense. No sense. In several away games at Fulham and Wolves, we created good XG. Not today. First time in a long time, we have not created much XG. What the there's a problem that we have to address here. Fulham, we threw it away. It was a freak on goal. I threw it away. Bournemouth, we threw it away. We've thrown points away against different teams in this league. And I gave you a stat at the beginning of this, or near the beginning of this. The vast majority, we concede at least one goal per game in the second half, whilst only score 0.2 per game in the second half. There's a massive shortfall when it comes to either our tactics or our fitness, or both. Something has to give. Because if we're scoring the majority of our goals, 0.7 in the first half out of 0.9, and we are dropping off big time in the second half, is that a mentality thing with all the players? Or is that a tactical thing from the sideline? Or is that a fitness thing? It has to be something. It has to be. There's something not right. The first time in a long time we've not created much XG. It's not good enough. But across 10 games, sometimes games like this come around for a newly promoted team. Excuses, 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 excuses. Excuses, Daniel. People say all they want. We don't want to. Oh, he wasn't back. We spent 100 million quid. Spent 100 million quid. We can talk about the 49ers, how they didn't invest in the front line. I'm going to tell you something. If you go on the transfer market, right, we get Dominic Calvert-Lewin for zero. He's worth 16 million right now on transfer market. Yeah. 16 million. If we put my granny up front, my granny will do as well as Calvert-Lewin, and tell you why. Because my granny will have the exact same service as Dominic Calvert-Lewin has, which is none. How is the man? People can, he had 5 big chances this season. Right, okay, that's fine. How many chances did he have against Brighton? I'll tell you what, he made 1 himself. How many chances did he have against West Ham? How many chances did he have against Burnley? The 3 last games. There's only certain amount of times that we can keep defending Daniel Farke. I'm going to tell you something. If we don't become real here, we're going to be staring relegation in the face. And at what point is it too late? At what point do we go down? At what point do we hold our hands up and say, enough's enough, we've got to bring somebody in. We've got to do it. Because right now, I think Daniel Farke is killing us. He is tactically inept. In the Premier League, he's tactically inept. Last season, Scott Parker bent him over and did whatever he wanted to in both games we played them. This season, Scott Parker took him apart again. Against Brighton, we were completely undone. They have 7 men out with injuries. 7. That wasn't even their strongest team. But they have 7 men out, and we were nowhere near Brighton, who are a top-tier mid-table team. Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. We can complain about the cutting edge up front all we want. That's down to the 49ers. That's fine. And people can say, blame the players, blame the players. How many times do you have to blame the players? At what point are we going to blame Daniel Farke? He has not got the big decisions right. He is not playing the right formation for the players we have. I want us to win. I'm a Leeds United supporter, and I want us to win 100% of the time. I want us to beat Forest. And if that keeps Daniel Farke in his job, that's fine. Great. If Daniel Farke keeps us safe and he stays in the job and we're comfortable, fine, great. But it's not going to happen. I just don't think he's at the level. We can talk about, should Strike come in? Should Nemacha come in? Should Pirot come in? Should James come in? Should we go 4-2-3-1? Should we go 4-3-3? Should we go 3-4-2-1? Whatever, Christmas tree. It doesn't matter, because we all know what's going to happen. He's going to play a 4-3-3, and that's it. He's going to make a sub in the 70th minute, unless forced because of injury. He's not going to tactically change until after the other team's tactically changed. These are big problems in the Premier League. Big problems. We have to, statistically, we've got to score 2 goals in the first half if we're going to win. Because statistically, we concede 2 goals. 1 goal every single game, minimum, in the second half, concede. I don't see where we're scoring. How are we scoring more than 2 goals? We're not against Forest. Sean Day shall have them set up. Now we have to, let's be real, we have to have the conversation. Who comes in? Who replaces Farke? At what point do they replace him? It's not if, it's when. That's it. This has been a long video, 26 minutes. I could rattle on forever, but as I say, I wanted at the beginning of the season for Farke to turn around and ram it down everybody's throats who says he's not at this level. Because that would have made us a success. But he hasn't been able to do that. And people can make excuses, but at the end of the day, you're dealt the cards you're dealt. It's how you use those cards. It's as simple as that. Daniel Farke is not getting the best out of the players that he has. It's as simple as that. Just think of how effective Bogle and Goodmanson could be in a better balanced team. How better could DCL, how much more goals could DCL get? He's only got 1 goal. If he had service. People can argue all they want. And I'm sure we will. But people can argue all we want. Whenever it boils down to what we want as a fan base, we just want to stay up. But come the international break, we've got Villa and those 3 teams up until the 14th of December. We could be well in the bottom 3. West Ham have picked up points. Forest, if they beat us this weekend, I'm fingers crossed we beat them, but if Forest beat us this weekend, it doesn't look good. And Burnley, obviously, they have a better goal difference right now than us. I don't see how Farke holds on to his job if we lose this Forest game. It's just as simple as that. Listen, I'm not going to rattle on. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't see any other way around it other than a new manager coming in. And I'll maybe do a video later on after he does the press conference. I'll react to that. I'll have a few names that I would hopefully think the club should have involved in a discussion at least during the international break on how we go forward from there. But yeah, watch on together. Please like, comment and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm. And thanks again for all the views. My views have been great. It's just I need people to comment and like it or whatever, just whatever. Thanks anyway. Good luck. Watching on together.